All right, we're live.
Okay.
All right, folks. Tonight I'm joined with Alan Barton. He's owner operator of Discovery Games up in Fayetteville. Real quick, I want to just give a couple plugs. The WGC Waycross Gaming Community does have a T-shirt. It is available on TeePublic, and I will post a link on how to get to that shirt. And we've got some other items on that site as well that have the WGC logo. So I will post that link after this goes live, and also I will post it in the YouTube on the YouTube channel and page linked with this video. Also, I want to give a plug for Arockk Designs. It's a friend of mine. It's actually his wife. She has a place here in Waycross. She customizes shirts, the tumblers, stuff. Any design that you can think of, she can put it on there, so you can check her out. Arockk Designs on Facebook. So again, I appreciate you coming on tonight, Alan.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. We just happened to kind of, meet on Facebook here and got connected. But anyway, tell our viewers what got you into gaming.
You can check her out.
Arockk Designs on.
Hang on 1 second. I need to.
On Facebook. Yeah, we can.
So again, I'm getting. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm trying to share it on my side.
You're fine. Coming on tonight, Alan.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
I'll do that later. Well, first of all, I want to blame Mac. I guess he's the root of all evil in gaming around here.
Yeah,
we're in Buford. I guess that's kind of how we got connected, is via him. But yeah, how I started gaming. I mean, it started back in high school. That was mid '80s. So yeah, this is back in the day. Cardboard counters were the thing, and played a lot of Avon Hill games. Remember really first going at it hard and heavy with a good friend was back at Wooden Ships and Iron Men back in the day. But yeah, started playing D&D first edition back even in before that, probably I guess middle school, 7th, 8th grade. And
right.
That was back a while back, but it's always been there. I grew up in a family that played games. Friday, Saturday nights, played card games, dominoes over my grandparents. So always into the gaming. Kind of dropped off in college. I went to tech here.
Kind of meet on Facebook.
Went to tech here, kind of had more things to do. Study, go to football games, basketball games. But went back to joined the Air Force, traveled around the world. Once again, back we played cards and stuff like that.
Right.
And really, where I really got into it hard and heavy, I was in San Antonio. I was doing training, so it was a regular day job. Wasn't traveling in the Air Force, and my wife was finishing her master's degree back in Arkansas, where we were from and where I stationed before that. And about the time I moved there was a gaming store open like a half-mile from me. About the same time I moved there, didn't know anybody. I was living by myself, and ended up one of those guys going to the same gaming shop 4, 5, 6 nights a week. And it was one of those, okay, what are we playing tonight? And really got into the historical scene, 15 millimeter historicals. So I was going 3 or 4 times a week, Saturday and Sunday all days. Really got into doing conventions with them, and it was the Lone Star Historical Miniature Society down in San Antonio. Great gaming area. I think they got 3 or 4 great stores in San Antonio now. You got Austin right there. Once again, another great gaming community. And then once again, traveling around the world and through the Air Force, that was always the thing. It was find the little game shop. And there's a game shop everywhere. Just about big ones, small ones. lived out in California, some of the big ones in San Diego, LA, Sacramento. I lived in the St. Louis area, some great game shops, St. Louis. You know, when we first moved here, one of the biggest game shops and still doing incredibly well is Gigabytes up on the north side of town. I used to drive up there. That was back when they were true internet cafe. And they did, you know, miniature board gaming on the side. That was 13 years ago, 14 years ago. So
yeah, we have a good connection with those folks, David, Finn, and those guys up at Giga. So I'm new to the scene as far as the gaming and stuff, but one of my buddies here, I mean, he's been at it a long time, and he's really good friends with David. So they've come a long way according to this guy as well.
Yes, and once again, you know, I remember their first store. It was not very big, and you know, that was back, like I said, 12, 15 years ago when internet cafes were a big deal, and they did the other gaming on the side. But that was a lot, you know, having seen the stores. Like I said, you know, I've been going to gaming stores for 30 plus years now. They're the same, but they're different, you know.
Right.
And the evolution of games has been interesting. So yeah, I've been gaming a while. I play everything, anything. I'll try anything once.
Right.
I said I've really got my roots in the historical, but you know, back when first Air Force, I was in Sacramento and got the first edition Blood Bowl with a couple guys, and we were playing, you know, 2 or 3 times, 4 times a week. And there was once again a great gaming store there, Sunrise Hobbies. My first introduction to 28 Civil War. These guys had, you know, a huge table, 6x4 at least, if not bigger, and would put on these huge Civil War games that were this incredible looking. That was once again kind of my first taste of, wow, that looks impressive.
Right.
I mean, so.
Yeah. So what brought you to the Atlanta area? I mean, was it the military?
It was the Air Force. I went to Georgia Tech. I was there for 6+ years. I did the long-term plan, enjoyed the heck out of it. Really, Atlanta became my second home. Right. In the Air Force, really, you know, setting up to retirement, looking, you know, where did I want to finally end up, and had a unique job. I was in Los Angeles, the Bay Area, and what I was doing there, the guy in Atlanta, he retired and was able to take his spot and then moved down here on the south side of Atlanta. And so it was the Air Force brought me back to my second home. Never thought I would get back to Atlanta. I was honestly looking going back to Arkansas or Texas.
Right.
But moved here. The family loved it. My kids were younger now. Now they've all graduated. In fact, my daughter just graduated from Agnes Scott College. My 2 sons are in college here, and they all love it. My wife loves it. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to, you know, retire from the Air Force and move back to Arkansas?" I said, "Nah, I don't want to work for Walmart or, you know." So
yeah, I saw your post the other day. I guess with your daughter graduating from Agnes Scott. Yep. It's interesting. Back when I was in elementary or middle school, right in that area, probably 5th or 6th grade. The girl that kept me and my stepbrother and stepsister for a summer, that's where she went to school. Well,
back in the day, back when Georgia Tech was all male school, there's a lot of tradition there between Georgia Tech, because it was a military school, and Agnes Scott, you know, all women's school. There was a lot of tradition, and you know, it's like all the older, very traditional schools like Tech. They have a lot of songs, and some of it includes Agnes Scott. And my daughter, she pulled out, graduated, and showed me some things that they had songs about Georgia Tech, guys at Georgia Tech. You know, they don't date guys from Tech type stuff.
Right.
But
yeah, it was cool. They actually filmed part of Scream 2 there. So
they've actually filmed, I think, about 4 to 5 movies over the 4 years. My daughter was there. I didn't realize that campus, and it's in Decatur. I mean, downtown Decatur, and you got this little campus that's about 4 or 5 square blocks, but it is old, traditional, the buildings are incredible. And,
right. Yeah, like I said, we were pretty young, and we did meet Nev Campbell and Wes Craven while we were there, but we tried to go see some filming, and they told us to come back at a certain time. Well, we got there before they told us, and they were like, "It's full," and we were like, "No, we're just too young," because we were probably, 12 or 13 or so. They just thought we were too young.
In Atlanta, it's people go. So, of course, now the movie industry is getting to be like second nature, especially down here in Fayetteville. A lot of my new customers, young customers, are associated with Pinewood. One of the guys that is coming and help me do some video, help me set up my YouTube channel. He's a camera guy.
Gotcha.
Of course, they're not filming. I have another young lady that does prop work. She does miniature prop work. She's done some tables for me, and it's cool to have those people come, especially the very, very creative people come in, and it energizes me to talk to those, like I said, super creative that definitely think outside the box. So,
right. Simon, I'm not sure if you're familiar with him, but he said he was Air Force all the way, did 30 years, 6 months retired, and then he asked what your
I was a C-130 navigator is what I was trained as. I've actually claimed to fame. I've literally flown around the world. I started and went west and ended up back in Arkansas, all the way west. 42 different countries. Had a blast.
Oh, wow.
That last job I had was once again very unique job, and enjoyed. I traveled all over West Coast and East Coast. I was the Air Force representative to the FAA. So I did liaison work, mainly, honestly, worked more with the FAA, but traveled to all the Air Force bases and then all the air traffic control centers, West Coast, and then 4 years on the East Coast. When I was here, I went all the way from Miami all the way up to Maine. And it was a travel. I loved to travel. I was gone almost every week.
Right.
So, yeah, SATCOM Police, C-130. I did the old E models. I actually trained in planes. First, some of the planes I were training were 61 and 63 models. And then we got the first H models in my squadron. Actually got to fly planes with seats on the plastic. So brand new planes.
Well, you've mentioned your store and everything, Discovery Games. So when did Discovery Games open? And
sure. The history behind that, right when I moved here, Tree Fort Games opened. In fact, Tree Fort Games, the original store, was about 100 yards from where I sit now. That those buildings no longer exist. It's a road now. But Tree Fort Games, John started it. I mean, that shop was maybe 1,200 square foot. I think he had 2 tables. He started teeny tiny, and did incredibly well because if you're familiar with Atlanta, we're on the south side going past I-20, past the airport, through downtown. You can't do it during the weekend. Even on the weekends, it's an adventure to get. I'd rather, once again, drive over the Waycross than drive to the north side of Atlanta.
Yeah,
And like Gigabytes, it's a good hour drive. During the week, you can't do it. And then I know another great store, even further north, is Meeple Madness. I go up there every once in a while. It's an hour and a half adventure up there.
Wow.
So I think Tree Fort did well. He moved locations and just kind of built and built and built up. He was around for about 9 years and then did very well. It was his second job. He was only open on weekends, kind of that type of shop. But when he decided to close his doors, it was working. He was actually working up in Atlanta. I fully understand and deal with that daily, having a real job and trying to run a shop.
Right.
He's like, I can't, didn't want to do it. His sons had gotten older. Life happens and continues to grow. So him hauled around. I even talked to John at that time about taking it over. and kind of, didn't really want to do it. Then some things happened in my personal life, kind of stars aligned. It's like great opportunity to do this. And then Troy, I said, I'm not doing it by myself. I can have someone run the shop because I'm also a manager at a Chick-fil-A.
Okay.
Wharf House, just up the road. Troy said, yeah, let's do it. I said, well, will you be in the shop and let's do this together? And he said, sure. So we opened our doors. Tree Fort closed in March. We opened in October. We actually literally put this plan together. I got the lease and opened the doors within about 30 days. It was,
okay.
Of course, a game store. What do you need? Tables. It was fun putting it all together. It was a challenge, but it was fun getting everything together. 30 days, we opened the doors. So that was in October of 4 years ago, going on our 4th year.
Okay.
So
yeah, I was about to say,
moved locations. We moved about 2 miles down the road. Okay. My lease was up. Great opportunity. This location hadn't been used forever, so it was. It was
this correct? 39B Hudson Plaza.
That's correct.
Okay.
It's actually the oldest shopping center in Fayetteville.
Okay.
It's where I used to be a Piggly Wiggly back in the day, but we're on the very end. I don't even have a front access. It's like you got to go around the corner, go in the door, and they gave me a great deal on it. There was another adjoining room, which I'm sitting in now, that it hadn't been leased in like 15 years. It was in pretty bad shape. I said, hey, I'll take this and they're like, yeah, you bet. And, the landlord's been great about fixing this up. And it's actually been a very good move. I was afraid I was going to lose a little business when I was still growing,
right?
But it's been good. But yep, we're having a blast here. So
cool. Well, here's folks too that are watching. Here's their website. I've actually ordered online from them. So discover-games.net. I guess one question that I have is, being a store owner operator right now, how have things changed, with this whole pandemic?
That I don't even know really how to begin to answer that question. It's been a challenge like everybody else.
Yeah, I can imagine. I didn't know if there were,
especially when it first started, luckily, because like I said, I was a manager at the Chick-fil-A, so I was getting some great information, following what they were doing as far as, this was before they even started shutting stuff down, precautions and what's going to happen. And of course, following the news. So we kind of had a game plan initially before they even shut us down. Then we had kind of a interesting issue here in Georgia before the governor kind of took charge of everything. Right. Every place was doing their own thing, and the city of Fayetteville came out, and they were literally almost closed everything. They physically shut down the Michaels, which is on the other end from me, and basically we were shut down, zero business, zero. Wow. For about 2 weeks. Okay. And then that's when the governor came back and said, no, this is the guidelines we're going to follow, because everybody was doing it. Was trying to find out what the flavor of the day, what we could and couldn't do.
Right. Yeah. So did y'all have
it still is. It's still a challenge. Still, right. I know I'll try to listen to the governor's, what there's going on. And a lot of, and it goes, as you probably know, they just canceled Gen Con.
Right. Yeah, I heard that earlier today.
Yes. Yep. So, trying to be proactive, and I tend to be a very positive person. Don't get me wrong. There's been days I just like, this is, how am I going to do this? But try to look 3-4 months out, how can I make that? What can I do to continue that? Me and Troy decided quickly. It was right after this. Fayetteville said, "Nope, can't be open." We said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this. I don't care, because this is not. I'm retired Air Force. I'm working full time. In fact, Chick-fil-A, we're actually up in sales, or it's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not having to live on this. Now, if I was having to live on this, that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
I tell you, the people, the mom and pop businesses in general, not just game stores, but restaurants and nail salons, and I utmost respect and for them right now. And I'm like, I don't know how some of these people are doing it. I have to make money, but like I said, me and Troy sit down. We're not going to close. If this is 3 months, I can make it through the summer. We were doing online sales already.
Right. Yeah.
We started that. That was one big thing when we moved to this location. We changed up our point of sale system to do online sales, and we were focusing on games that people didn't carry in the States. But we already had that set up, so we were able to quickly expand that into basically about 70-80% of the shop. I forgot our last count, like 5,000 items online. That was not our intent, but because it was there, we ramped that up. We've sold Games Workshop paint all the way up to, I think, New York area.
Yeah, that was one question you just mentioned it, like the international, sales and stuff, or international games and businesses. And so how did that come about with, especially with Twisted? Because that's kind of how we met, was through.
It was. And once again, a lot of this, I will give credit back to Mac and Coastal Con and what he's doing. And this 2-second history. Me and Mac actually met via online. I was like, man, there's some pictures of a game. Someone had done a board, and I was hunting late one night when I first opened up my store, and it was about midnight, and I found it. And I was like, oh, and this guy's online. So I started almost every night, me and Mac chatting, and that's where I found all these cool games that weren't Games Workshop, weren't Warlord Games, weren't any of the big guys. A lot of them were overseas. So Max says, hey, you've got a shop, and kind of put that bug in my ear. And that's something I always wanted to do with my shop. Was I don't want to compete with Gigabytes. They're awesome. They have their niche. They do, huge Games Workshop tournaments.
Yeah.
I mentioned Maple Madness. There are board games. If everywhere, I do some board games. But, what would make me different? And what do I really like is those kind of niche games. Now, you got to be careful with niche games because if only 3 people play them in the whole state of Georgia. But I said, I'm going to do that. Yeah. We started the online sales because these guys talking to them, that's kind of where I got with the Minted Games. I'm working with Twilight now, several other guys. None of the distributors will pick them up. So shipping from Australia is just stupid. And then even some of the stuff from the UK, because I can order a little bigger and make their worthwhile, I'm getting stuff via DHL in 2 or 3 days, where if you ordered it, it would take 2 weeks. And so I'm allowing some of those guys to start to build some of the sales, and more players like you. This is a cool game. I want to get it. Oh, it's I need 1 miniature. Okay, it's Australia. That's $70 for shipping. And I can't do it. So I was able to build trust. A lot of it go back to via Mac with these guys and say, hey, I want to help you guys. It's going to help me if I help you. And got a great relationship with the Minute Games, Twilight, All Might Games, which is the Drowned Earth, which luckily War Cradle just picked up. And that's I'm bummed about Gen Con, because I'm actually a war host for War Cradle. I'll do Wild West Exodus and
Okay.
working on Mythos. I've been going to Gen Con with them. And of course, they're a bigger company, but I don't know if you saw Mac's interview with them here a couple of weeks ago. They act like a small company. And so it was great to help, see that happen. And, but yeah, I enjoy it. And that's going to conventions. I think adding that on, representing, like I said, I do War Cradle a little bigger, but still not that big known companies. Because if you go to Gen Con or any of them, there's all these cool games you've never seen before. Like, cool, that's cool, that's cool. And getting the word out. And now, don't get me wrong, there's some great ones in the U.S. And starting to work with some of those. But that's kind of, and it's on both sides of, for them to trust me to represent them and sell their product and do it in the right way. And also for me to trust them to do me right as far as give me the timely product and working with it. And it's been great. I've enjoyed it. It's made this move and this next step, me going forward. It's been great. So hope I answered that.
Yeah, you did. No, that's one thing that I thought, especially after hearing your answer too. That's really cool. Especially trying to, I mean, you're not going to be able to just completely compete against Giga, or even, or even like Cool Mini or not, that's up near Atlanta. You're not going to be able to compete with those big, huge name stores. And especially, if you kind of offer something that they're not, with these kind of more indie games.
Well, and even the Games Workshop games. I think they would agree. The other shops around and in general, whatever does well at one shop tends to do well at another shop.
Right.
And especially with you start talking to competitive games, those guys that's going to travel to do tournaments, if they can travel within 2 or 3 hours and hit 2 or 3 tournaments or a tournament every month, that game just gets more and more, whether it's a Games Workshop or once again some niche games. So I encourage my guys, hey, Giga's having a tournament, go out there, man, have fun, play. Columbus, go down to Columbus, play down there. And and I see those guys come here when we have an event. So you said talking about competing, I don't see it though, especially in Atlanta. We have that, call it that I-20. We have that downtown Atlanta communities. It's not. It's what does well for them does well for me, and vice versa. Right. And I think once again that goes in general with games. So
yeah. This person says, a Facebook user, you think any of these companies are interested in U.S. wholesale?
I would say yes. It's like a lot of these guys I'm dealing with, they are truly one-man shops. So I think, now I've not talked to them. That'd be a question I would defer to them.
Right.
But it's like even me, if I really wanted to ramp up, how many employees would I have to have? What infrastructure, what investments would I have to make? They're all the same way. All these guys I've talked to, they have other jobs. They, talked to one guy, literally casting out of his garage, and worked with some guys even over in Alabama. They're casting in their shop in the back of their house. And that is a challenge for them, because you go to a distributor, they want, hey, if I'm going to carry your game, I want all of it, and I want whatever, 100 copies. I've never even made that many.
Yeah.
So I think some of them would, if they could. I go back to the Drowned Earth with all my games with War Cradle picking them up. I remember when that long ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, that James did his first Kickstarter, and he hand packed every box. He had a hand seal, wax seal in every box. And then now he's distributing with War Cradle, which is one of the big distributors in the UK.
Yeah.
And, you know, I would be interesting to talk to him that growth and that production of going from a little Kickstarter to being distributed. It is a challenge, especially overseas. It's the same deal everybody has with the wholesale. So once again, I don't want to answer that for them. And, you know, once again, you'd have to talk to the big wholesalers.
Right.
You think about how many games are out there. If you really start peeling back the layers, and it's like distributors are like game stores. I can't carry everything.
Yeah.
So.
This person's saying, are you coming up as Facebook user? Yes. What you need to do is you basically need to grant like StreamYard permission to use your name. All you do is there's like a link at the top of the video. You just click on it, and then I think you just click approve or something like that. So it's literally only like 2 clicks that you need to do. So it's really, really simple and easy.
And I saw a comment earlier, and I think we kind of glossed over it. They were talking about
the shipping due to, maybe this is it. The shipping rate, right now.
And that's not just because of the COVID-19. You know, that shipping, and I tell you, shipping from the U.S. to other places it's just as crazy. And like I said, you go to Australia, and that's where you start looking at, and there's some great companies in Australia. And you look at the shipping cost, and then once again, you know, it's not bad if you're investing $300 or $400. You know, I'm going to get everything in a game, but right. Let's say you do that, and then next year or next month they come out with one model.
Yeah,
and it's the best model ever. Oh, so it goes back to, I'm trying to help with that. I'm never going to solve that problem, but you know, and thankfully, you know, these guys I'm working with, you know, we're working out the shipping, and it's so it makes it feasible where I can do it and handle those products. You had one person mention about game stores open. I am open. I had to come in this room. We're following all the state guidance and trying to keep. I go back to trying to keep up with that. What is the guidance? It's a challenge. All my customers, if I ask them to do something, they'll say, yes, sir, whatever you need me to do.
Right.
You know, we're trying to keep stuff clean, limit the contact. We are using our big tables, and we got lines 6 foot. So there is some gaming going on, and I'll say that, you know, a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
But you know, mainly we're doing retail stuff, and 10 people in the store. We did that last weekend. It was because people run out of paint. That was a big getting paint and brushes right now.
Yeah.
You can't stock it enough.
And I know that
still at home and painting. It's good. Everybody should have their miniatures painted, right?
Exactly. Yep. Get that pile of shame finished, and your gray armies completed, and all that.
And I know that's not happening because still selling more miniatures, right?
Oh yeah, exactly. Also, I know some places have been offering, I mean, just like the restaurants and stuff, you know, they've been offering like curbside. So I didn't know if that was something y'all
we do that. We, you know, so our local guys will send us an email if it's you know, not online, and we've even had people not locally. Hey, if we have in the shop, we'll throw up online. You can order it online. Just coordinate with us. You know, call us when you drive up, or you know, I think Troy's even made a couple deliveries.
Right.
To some of the guys around here.
Yep.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to read it. I mean, but Bridge Fulfillment is trying to work with smaller companies to make U.S. wholesale manageable.
And that's Dave.
Okay.
He's doing great things with that. I know he's working with a lot of people in the Kickstarters. He's trying to fill that gap. And I think that's a good thing. A really good thing he's doing is is filling that gap between the big distributors and, you know, the smaller guys that truly more to a distributor than yeah, you know, you can order your game and then they do the fulfillment. Shoo, it's hard for me to say. But yeah, they're doing good things up there, and I'm glad to see them doing it. It's going to give, I think, people opportunity that would never be able to do stuff, because it goes back to even doing a Kickstarter. You know, how do you? I can make the game, but then the distribution around the world or even in the U.S., how do I do that? And I've talked to many people, you know, in the gaming industry. They've done the great Kickstarter, but they've fallen on their face when it comes to getting it out the door. That's a whole other beast. So,
right. You mentioned well, we touched on Gen Con.
I'm bummed
that it was canceled. But what are some, you know, other conventions coming up, or what do you think some of these?
I don't know. I was talking to eating my Taco Tuesday with the wife right before I got logged on, and you know, was telling her Gen Con was canceled, and I really don't know. I don't think anybody knows at this moment on the future of conventions in the near future. Hopefully, you know, August, September. I love conventions. That's my true passion.
Right.
I'm one of the first people to show and then one of the last people to leave. And I kind of use the Discover Games as an excuse to do conventions. And I bought a truck. I've got a trailer now. I'm ready to travel. That was one of my goals. 3-year goals was to do more conventions. I'd lined up to do about 8, and I hadn't done any so far. So I don't know. I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I don't think anybody has an answer yet, because that, you know, how do I do this with current state? No one, because I tell you, if they did, we would see the sports going. You know, there's a lot of talk with the baseball, you know, football. I think once those guys start getting some of the answers and this is how we're going to handle it, I think you probably see the conventions come across. And it's not just for the gaming community. You know, it's conventions, trade shows.
Yeah.
Across the board.
All those.
And I just don't think anybody has, you know, cracked that. Well, I don't know. I don't think they know what question to answer to solve that problem yet. So until that happens, I'm ready to go. But, you know, I want to do it smart, safe, meet whatever, you know, requirements, state, local. I'm you know, I know what I believe in, feel and stuff, but I also respect other people's, you know, mask, not mask. I'm not going to get into that discussion, but hey, if you won't ask me to wear a mask and I'm in your presence, I will wear a mask. You know, same thing with, you know, state and local. It's the politics is getting out of hand with all that, but I respect what your thoughts, and if I can do that, and I think that's something we'll have to solve down the road with that.
Right. Yeah. Now, when you go to these conventions, are you more with? Are you representing Discovery Games? I know you also mentioned that you like to show off Wild West Exodus. So how do you balance the store versus maybe like showing off some games?
I do both. I really like to have a helper, and I like to go to conventions where Mac's going, because Mac is the demo man. And, you know, when Mac is there, I just run the shop, you know, the Discover Games shop. I really try to tailor what I take to the convention.
Right.
And there's a couple of conventions I've been to a couple years now. You know, I'm still very new to this, and I found, you know, you can catch kind of the flavor. Also, look, it goes back to kind of with what I do here in Atlanta with the other hobby stores. If Warlord Games is going to go, I'm not going to take Warlord products. You know, if other vendors who I enjoy talking, drinking a beer with them after hours, you know, they take that. I'm not going to take that. I'm going to take something else. And that's, I think it's a challenge, but that's where I really, when I hit it, I really succeed. You know, like if there's going to be a local store there, I'm not going to take dice. I'm not going to take card sleeves. But if there's not a local store, like when I went to Coastal Con, I sold a lot of dice. That was the first convention I ever took dice, just to take dice. And everybody's like, cool dice, you know. So I also, because I'm a gamer, that's my true love, I've got to run demos of something. So I do try to do hand in hand of both. Luckily, I love the smaller conventions, NashCon, Coastal Con, Siege of Augusta, the ones around here, because they will work with me. They'll let me have a table right in front of my Discover Games where I can run the games right there, so I can't do both. You know, I mentioned Gen Con. I went up to PAX Unplugged with War Cradle. When I do that, I'm just War Cradle, and you know, it does give me an opportunity to run around and see the other stuff. But when I went to those, I was doing nonstop Wild West Exodus demos and I enjoy that. I really do. So hopefully that answers the question. I do both. And then, you know, once again, it's one of those things. It's an excuse, and it pays my conventions costs. And I tell you, that's where my passion lies. And talking, like I said, with the other vendors, with the people playing, just everybody. I really, that's, you know, why do I do this? That's why I do it. And that's my end goal here in a couple of years. I'd love to be one of those guys that goes, you know, 10, 12 conventions. And I know we've talked about going to some bigger ones, as possibly Discover Games, which honestly scares the heck out of me going to. But I think we could do it, and you know, take Twisted and stuff and do well.
I've never been to. I mean, I've been to JekyllCon. That's really about it. I mean, I've been to the one the high school and the county over hosted like a one-day type thing. I've been over there a couple of times, but never really hit one of these big ones.
Yeah, you can't compare them. They both have their goods and cons. So I love going to, you know, the conventions, 500 people, because you can take your time, get to know people. Like I said, you know, the other vendors, gamers and stuff. You hang out with them. You know, they'll go get you something to eat. You really get to know the people. Where at Gen Con, it is just like, you know, the difference is it's like going to a high school football game
and going
to watch the Falcons and, you know, the Super Bowl. You know, it's that different level. And, you know, high school game, hey, you saw someone from high school. No, they're my kids playing. And this is, you know, they're in the band and all. And then you go to, you know, you're paying $2,000 for one ticket to go watch a Super Bowl game. And it's a you know, 3-day event. So,
part of my problem.
I like them both. Now, personally, I like the 500 people convention where you can sit there and talk and really, and you don't even sell the game. You build passion for a game at the smaller conventions.
Right. Yeah. One of my problems I always run into with some of these conventions is it's during like basketball season for me. And then there's one too that's like right at the beginning of school. So that's kind of the issue I run into sometimes with these conventions. But I definitely, you know, would like to go to some different ones. And like I said,
you gotta go to Coastal Con. It's just like,
I know that's the price. It's like right there at the end of February. So it's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to go until like literally like the week before because of basketball.
Sure.
I
understand.
Yeah. Folks, we again, if you're watching, if you've got we've had some people leaving some comments. If you got some questions for us, feel free to drop those. I've got Alan Barton. He's owner operator of Discover Games up in Fayetteville. So there's the address for the store if you're up that way. Also, You can check them out online. They have multiple products that you can get. I've used them, and I mean, shipping was, I think it was pretty much done the next day. So they get it out quick as well.
I'm 2 blocks from the post office, so that makes it easy.
And hopefully I can share this. If not, then you can tell me to take it down immediately. But Alan has agreed to give, I guess, the Waycross community a discount. Is it okay if I share that?
Yeah, you
okay.
bet.
All right. So when you fill everything out, you can put in a code. This is the code WaycrossGamers 10. This will give you 10% discount on your order. So if you're viewing the video and you see that, again, you can go online and order, and then drop that code. So let's see. I kind of skipped over some of these, but Simon said that he loves Wild West Exodus, and he says he travels in the van, and I guess he sleeps in his van, and Cons Rock.
That's what I do, man. I don't know why. In fact, I go back to, I was talking about San Antonio. We went over to Texas A&M. They had their school put on a little, and the first night we screwed up and forgot. It was one of the guys I was with. You got the hotel room, right? And we show up to check in, and we're like, we don't have a reservation for you. We literally slept in my truck in the parking lot. Now they found the room the next night for us, but it was awesome.
Yeah, no, that's something you'll always remember.
I'll never forget that, sleeping in the truck.
And I know people like some of these major conventions, they find somewhere in the convention hall and they just end up sleeping there during the night. Yeah. Some of the stories I've heard. What would be, on your top 5 game list or whatever? I know you mentioned that you're an historical gamer. And then what are some of your other, we've talked Twisted and we've talked The Drowned Earth, but what are some of your favorite games to kind of put on the table?
Well, as I get older, and honestly, I'm a gamer at heart, but I still got to run the store. I have a job, I have my family. I have actually all 3 kids at home now. Time is an issue.
Time management, yep.
So I'm really getting to like these skirmish games with 6 models.
Yeah.
That I can play in an hour. And Wild West Exodus, Mythos, we're getting there. We got all the factions painted, and hopefully we're going to try to start this week, but it looks like next week. But I'm really looking forward to that one. We're playing the heck out of Free Blades right now. We've done some videos. That was back when everything was shut down. Me and Troy, hey, let's do some videos. Nathan got me to do the YouTube channel. So me and Troy, with help of a couple of other people, when we're after hours and even early in the mornings, we're coming doing some videos. We love the game. Once again, skirmish, playing an hour. The Drowned Earth, you got to check out the Kickstarter and do a plug for that. That's going to be a great. That Kickstarter it's going to be a gateway. It's one of those that's board game-ish with miniatures, or is it miniatures in a board game? It's going to be a great gateway game.
Right.
It's got dinosaurs. It's just I had heard about it and knew some stuff about it, but then when I really saw their playthrough that the tabletop did, I was like, oh, I'm in love with that. What else am I playing? A lot of. I love Guild Ball. We played when our first store opened up. We were playing, had 12 or 14 people playing. Once again, skirmish, anything like that. I've honestly gotten further and further away from historicals. Up until now, Clash of Spears. Actually had the chance to drove up to the creator. He actually lives up in Marietta, north side of town, and he invited me up to his house to get all my I backed a retail pledge on his Kickstarter. The passion from Alvaro, and actually I met his brother, Francisco, in a convention in San Antonio, no, Austin last year, and his passion, Clash of Spears, historical ancient skirmish game. You got to check that out. It's right in line with all these other games I'm talking about, but it's historical. You have Romans versus the Gauls, and it's fast play, but still definitely has that feel of ancient. So I'd say that would be the ones that are I'm playing and in my near future to play, I'd say this summer. And that's the ones I want to plug my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I was going to tell you. Yeah, go ahead and plug that.
That was something we started with. Me and Troy said, like I said, sitting here going, no one's here. What are you going to do? And then Nathan actually, I said he's a dolly grip in the movie industry. He was going to come in. In fact, it was a week they shut us down, and we were going to do videos, and we weren't able to do that. So I said, you know what, Nathan, help me put this YouTube channel together anyway, because we started looking. There's not almost no videos on Twisted. I know there's still not a lot because we hadn't done them yet, but there's not much out there. Free Blades, there was a little. Twilight, we're going to do some more. And after doing them now, I understand it's real easy to get excited and you do one, then I got to get something out there now because you got to keep it fresh. This is like these games. And I know you started a YouTube channel, and
I've started one.
It's fun, but it's one of those it takes about twice as long to edit, and I'm doing almost no editing. And you can thank Ash Barker for that. When I listen, he's the Gorilla Miniature guy. He just does his videos, and he doesn't care if he gets his rules wrong or if he makes a mistake. He's all about just having fun getting the video out there. Yeah. And that's what we try to do. Anyway, but that's the game we're playing.
Yeah, I've done zero editing on mine. I just usually download it and then re-upload it. And
that's what I'm doing.
I've enjoyed watching some of y'all's videos, and then I know Matt has kind of a series he does on there where it only it goes about 5 minutes, but it's Ask Mac. So those were enjoyable to watch too.
I appreciate him. In fact, he's still got the most viewed videos. So he gives me a hard time, but no, I appreciate his help on that.
Yeah. So folks that are watching, go hit up Discover Games on YouTube as well, and hit that subscribe button and hit the little bell to get notified when they post a new video.
Yeah. Let us know if there's anything you guys want to see out there. So.
And if you haven't subscribed to the Waycross Gaming Community channel, you can go to and subscribe to that as well. I was trying to think what would what's your most memorable gaming experience?
Ooh, whoa!
Or one of your most recent?
One of my most. In fact, I actually got to play some games lately because once again, with the shop shut down, me and Troy had locked the door at 7 o'clock, and we actually got some games in. So honestly, I try to be a positive person, and I guess me getting back into the gaming because opening up this shop in October after last summer, I sat down and I hadn't played a game. Even I went to Coastal Con and did some other convention other than doing demos. I hadn't really played any gaming in like 6 months. So just to get at this Free Blades and I've played, I don't know, about 7 or 8 games the last week or so.
Yeah.
I hadn't got to do that in a long time. So this will be a memorable moment. Hey, what did you do when your store was shut down? I actually got to play games.
Got to play.
But no, other than that, I mean, I actually, this made me think about Chuck Dempsey was a guy in high school. We go back to the wooden ships and Iron Men. We got to play in a campaign, and I was going to over to his house every Sunday it was a summer. I guess it was summer between a junior and senior. So it was 83, the summer 83.
Oh, wow.
Wooden ships and Iron Men. So
that's when I was born.
No. Yeah, I'm old. Don't tell me that.
Something I always kind of like to ask. So you able to sit down and play a game and everything, and you can pick 3 people, living or dead. Who would you sit down with? And then like what would y'all play?
Oh, well, just off the top of my head, because Mac has been such an influence since I've opened the shop, and his tables are incredible. He always tells a great story.
Phenomenal. Yeah.
I would say Mac. In fact, been talking with the wife, and maybe because I need to get away for a couple days and relax. Is going over to Buford maybe and playing a game with him here.
Yeah.
In June sometime. I go back to when I was in Sacramento. I believe the name of it was Sunrise Hobbies. I said it was a great hobby store. It was one of those that had everything, miniatures. It did model airplanes and everything. That was the first table. I was just like, wow, this is incredible. 28 mil Civil War. The goal was to take this bridge, gorgeous bridge, stone bridge. And later, I was going over there a couple times a month, playing with those guys, and come to find out, Robin Williams.
Oh, okay.
You go in that store, and he was a miniature gamer. He actually had a lot of, I think, a lot of Games Workshop stuff. And thinking about that, that would have been cool to play with someone, not because he's famous stuff, but I've always loved Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Can you imagine playing a miniature game with Robin Williams?
Yeah.
So I would say Robin Williams. This would be, it would have to be a trip, man. And and thinking someone like that was a miniature gamer. And I tell you, that's something else about this. You're finding out all these famous people,
right?
Whatever you think is famous, or gamers, not just miniature board gamers. A third person, I mean, just about anybody. I love go back to conventions. I love teaching people new games. I love the passion of younger people. I'm not necessarily kids, but some kids, some young adults, especially if they play board games and the first experience playing miniature games, that teaching them that first time they played a miniature game. Anybody like that, and keep building that passion for that, I think anybody like that would be someone I'd still enjoy teaching people how to play.
Right. Yeah, that would be interesting. A couple of comments that Simon asked, and this may be something that you need to discuss privately with him.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, you just had this last one, military discounts. Yes, we do. Yeah, we do several different types of discounts, but yeah, I respect anybody that was in the military. Honestly, Marines, most of all, I got to work with the Marines multiple times, and they get it done. But yeah, we do military discounts, and we have some other programs that we do in the store.
And then he mentioned he has an Alamo. Check out my Alamo game from GnomeCon 2017.
I'll have to check it out. The guys that go back to the guys in San Antonio, of course, that's where the Alamo's at. A couple of them actually built a replica of the Alamo, and they would go during when they had the big. That was a great thing about San Antonio. They didn't do a day of celebrations. It would be a week, a month long. They would bring them into the actual Alamo, and they would play their. And I can't remember what rule set they used. They used 28s, and they had the whole thing in 28 mils, but they actually got to play the Alamo in the Alamo. I was just like, wow. I never got the opportunity to go with them, but I was like, that's about the coolest thing I think you could ever do is play the Alamo in the Alamo.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
To see. You might have to come up and put it on, have to play it.
So there you go, Simon. Anyway, we've been going almost an hour, folks, and I always try to stay around an hour mark. We want to always be respectful of people's times. We both have families, and Alan's got work that he's still doing. So I certainly appreciate you joining us tonight.
I enjoyed it.
So our folks that are watching, if there's any kind of last question or so that you might want to get in, go on and drop that. Again, I'll give these plugs. I just want
one last plug out there. I go back to, with everything going on, so please support your local stores. I appreciate people doing it online with me, but if you can go to your local guys, it means a lot. And you might, what's $5? $5 right now may be the difference in someone keeping their doors open or not.
Right.
So I highly encourage. I know you can go to Amazon or eBay or these other huge online places, but if it's a few bucks more, buy it from your local shop, and it does make a difference now. So That's my plug for all the local guys, the little guys out there.
Yeah. So no, that's I'm sure they appreciate you, giving a plug to them as well. So again, folks, Waycross people, 10% discount at discovergames.net. And also, again, we do have a Waycross Gaming Community T-shirt, and I will plug that link in on the YouTube page. Also, if you're on YouTube, go on and hit the subscribe button and go look at Discover Games. Hit the subscribe button for them as well. I want to give another plug for Arockk Designs. Again, this is one of my buddies. It's actually his wife, but she can put logos, monograms, just about on anything that you can think of. And I've got a tumbler that she's is making for me, and but I'll be showing it off once I get that. So there's that. And folks, again, any last questions or comments? We'll kind of wait another minute or so. Simon says USMC, Uncle Sam, misguided children.
Well, outstanding. And Tyler, I'm looking forward to when I can come visit you.
It'll be definitely, I hope to, or I can come up that way. Like
sure.
My sister lives up near Atlanta. She's in Swanee.
Okay.
So I think I looked. I don't think Fayetteville's too far out of the way.
No, it would be.
To stop by the store there. But again, I appreciate you joining us, and
well, thank you.
Had a good one. So y'all take care.
Thank you, sir. Have a good night.
All right, man. Have a good one.
Bye.